Hi, my name is Reece Carlson. I'm a senior in Minnetonka High School, and my project is titled How Extrinsic Motivation Can Help Improve Resilience in Athletes. The first thing that I want to open up with is what are humans capable of, right? This is something that we've been wondering for decades. Scientists have been doing lots of research over the course of the years, really just trying to figure out what limits humans can go to, how far can we truly go. And a part of that is wondering how the mind and the body connect together, right? Say, how can the mind motivate the body? If we can allow the mind to not get in its own way, if we can allow the mind not to be its own barrier, then we can truly achieve more than we ever thought possible. While this research is really going to be looking more at the sports psychology and the health science world of it, this can be applied way beyond any of those worlds. We can look at, say, jobs, like how can we get to be the most productive in our jobs? Or say, how can we be the most productive in our day lives? How can we be better than we ever thought before by pushing through that mental block that we already set for ourselves? When we know that's not truly how far we can go, but how can we get further than that? And countless times throughout practice, throughout competition, I always found myself wondering, how can I be better? How can I push past time? How can I push past when things get hard? And that kind of dove me into the world of sports psychology. I started reading lots of literature on sports psychology. And then with that background as being an athlete for such time, that kind of got me asking some questions, right? How can we push past the barriers when we feel discomfort? Because that's really where the key to success lies, is pushing past your comfort zone, as we all know. As we look into some of the existing literature on discomfort, pain tolerance, and sports psychology, we found that athletes have a higher pain tolerance than the general public. However, they have a similar pain threshold. So, pain threshold is defined as the moment a pain stimulus reaches the brain, the moment where you start to feel uncomfortable, right? And we found that athletes have the same pain threshold, but an elevated pain tolerance, actually much elevated pain tolerance than the general public. So this tells us that the best athletes in the world know how to do this. They know how to deal with this discomfort when it comes up. They know how to push through these barriers. And more research on extrinsic motivation, or motivation from an outside source, tells us that supervised work or supervised exercise, supervised competition led to more intense workouts, and therefore better results because they had that outside source to push them past what they thought. So there's a study about resistance exercise, and in resistance exercise, participants were not able to accurately predict how far they could go, how many repetitions they could do until task failure or withdrawal. So that shows us that our mind alone is not enough in truly seeing what our body is capable of. We need something, we need some outside source to help us out. Now, the current gap in what we know lies in a few things. Number one, how can we use this to our benefit? How can each time we work out, or each time we're in competition, each time we're in practice, how can we use extrinsic motivation from a coach or a peer to push us past? Then, what are the most efficient ways to use it? Like, what is the best time? How can we use it? And then lastly, how do different people respond? Does one size fit all, or do we have to look a little bit deeper and find more specific things for specific people? Now, more specifically, what my project is doing, what we're aiming to do, is we're going to have participants. It's 15 participants from the Minnetonka boys swim and dive team. Ages range between 15 and 18 years old. And they're going to do an isometric wall sit, capped at 4 minutes. They can't go above 4 minutes. But they're going to do an isometric wall sit until personal withdrawal or task failure. And what this will do is it'll see how they can cope with the physical discomfort of the wall sit. After we gather their baseline, we're going to look at four different things, four different independent variables that they're going to do. First, they're going to be given 30-second time updates. Second, they're going to be given a form of verbal reinforcement. Third, they're going to do competition with one other person, so a 1-versus-1 type deal. And finally, they're going to be given a source of verbal distraction, conversation, something to get their mind off of the pain. And the key to all this is that the participants are given instructions that they can withdraw anytime they want, because that's really what we're trying to look at here, is what factors make them want to stay in or make them want to get out. To start off, our baseline, we found that the average baseline time was 84 seconds, or 1 minute and 24 seconds. And then for 30-second time updates, really the science behind this is that when we're doing exercise or feeling discomfort, we fall into an energy deficit. Once we fall into this energy deficit, if we're given a knowledge of a goal, which is when we're given the goal, which is what a time update is, if we're given the checkpoint or an accomplishment, the mind will replenish a little bit of mental energy to keep going because of the rush it gets from the completion of that goal. And what we found was that with these 30-second time updates, the average time rose to 140 seconds, or 2 minutes and 20 seconds, which was a massive jump from what we just saw from the baseline, showing that. So then with these 30-second time updates, we found a 66.7% increase from the baseline time, which is phenomenal. The next thing we looked at was verbal reinforcement, and that came out with an average time of 155 seconds, which led to an 84.5% increase from the baseline, which is just unreal, out of this world better than the baseline time. And the reason for that was because when intense verbal reinforcement is given, the fear of failure comes up, or the joy of success. And those emotions provoke adrenaline. And adrenaline, as we know, gives the body a rush of energy. It just comes back to primal instincts. We found that participants were able to ride this adrenaline rush way beyond what they previously could have without it. They were able to ride this adrenaline rush all the way as far as they could. And we had many subjects reach the 4-minute cap. So there's many people who went way beyond what they ever thought was possible. The next variable that we decided to look at was competition, or how could the addition of another person doing the same task add or subtract to the total time. And what we found is that there was a 58.3% increase. Still good, but this one was a little bit interesting because not all people responded the same way. Some people looked at it as competition. I need to beat this person for whatever reason it be. It could be like friendly rivalry or whatever. Other people looked at it as a sort of teamwork aspect, which I found very interesting. In essence, we could find that working in teams is much more effective than working alone. Nonetheless, this was a very effective variable added, whether it came from a competition point of view or from a teamwork perspective. This was very successful. What we really wanted to look at was how these compared to one another. Say, the social pressure of competition, the adrenaline rush aspect of verbal reinforcement, or the knowledge of goal completion with 30-second time updates. And that's what we're going to be looking into in the coming months.